welcome. You have reached review time with Imperial. Let's get into it. Well, today we're going to review the movie Glass, coming off of the prior two movies, Split, and then the first movie, Unbreakable, written and directed by M. Shyamalan. So, for the sake of the long name, we're going to just say M. Shao. Let's get into it. So, this is a trilogy, the final installment, so we think, of a three-part series, and everyone knocked it out the park. The Unbreakable back in 2000 was good. Left people who enjoyed the movie saying when part two was going to come out. It never came. Then Split came out, and at first I didn't go see it. I kept hearing about it. It's good movie, good movie. Then finally somebody said, "Yo, Bruce Willis was in the end of the movie." Then somebody else came out and said, "Yo, that's part two to Unbreakable." And I said, "Huh?" So that's what triggered me to go watch the movie Split. Glad I watched it. Another good film. Here we go. 2019, Glass. So it picks up where the character that has all the split personalities is still kidnapping people. So kidnap the girls that you see in the trailer, and now once the girls is kidnapped, Bruce Willis' character, which is David, his son is grown up. Him and his son run a home security business, and he's fighting little crimes in the neighborhood. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're trying to track where their theories, where they pinpoint where the kidnapper could be holding the girls at. So they know they running out of time before the girls end up dead or whatever. So he decides, I'm going to take a walk in that area where we pinpointed. Meanwhile, his son is saying, "Hey, you need to chill because it's supposed to rain, and you know his kryptonite is rain, water." So he's basically saying you ain't going to be at your best. Nevertheless, he keeps it going. In the process of looking in that area, he runs into the guy with all the split characters. Now, the split character that he runs into is like the kid version that's energetic and likes, bouncing around. So in the process of running into him, his part of his power, if he touches someone, he can get their visions. So, of course, he sees the vision that this is who he's been looking for, because it shows the vision of him with the girls. So he tells his son everything, and then he goes into, I gotta find these girls mode. So he finds the girls, and then he becomes face to face with the Beast. Him and the Beast get to tussling. He did release the girls, and then he pushed himself and the Beast out the window. To their surprise, there were police surrounded, and they had this big big light, which that does is trigger in a Beast to trigger another personality. So he instantly came into a different person, and they calmed him down. Then they told David, the woman knew his name, so they told him, like, don't fight it, pretty much. And when she said his name, he really just let himself, get handcuffs, because he like, well, that struck his curiosity. How did she know him? So, of course, they go through a bunch of dialogue inside of the psychiatric hospital, and she's talking with the split personalities, and they go through all that. She's talking to David. Her mission is to convince them that what they've been doing is an illusion, all in their mind. And she got 3 days to try to convince them that they're not really superheroes. And if she can't convince them in 3 days, I think that, the death sentence is the consequence. So in the process of all that, Glass, Mr. Glass is inside of the facility too. But to them, they think he's just weathered away, and they think they have him sedated all these years. So he's been really flipping the medication. They don't know. They just know when he was in there, when he first got there, he got the blueprints of the whole facility, and he didn't already figured out how to manipulate, get in and out of his room and everything like that. But they don't know. They think he's just sedated and he just looks crazy the whole time. But really, he's just manipulating them the whole time, and he's really not taking his medication. He's really not sedated. He's just waiting for his opportune moment to strike, where he has also learned everybody's pattern as well. So when he realized this was his time to strike, when he realized that David and the other guy was in there, so what he took and did is he ran all the files when everybody, on their downtime, thinking he was in a room, and he read all their files and he found out everything. So he went into the guy with the split personalities, and that's where you see on the trailer him talking to the guy, and he said he wants to meet the beast. So his theory is to let the world see the beast fight David, and so that the world can see it's people like them that exist. And he's the mastermind on that. So I was already viewing, like, watching the movie, I was already going throughout the movie wondering, why does woman know all this information? So, but the M. Shao, he does a great job to let you look at everything else so you can sway away from looking at the actual woman, why she know all this information. So later on in the movie, the showdown happens. You get to see how Mr. Glass manipulated everything, how he manipulated to get out of the cage. So when he had everybody thinking that he wanted the showdown to be at the towers, it was the towers in Philly that they were launching, and the world was a lot of people were being there, and that's where he was telling them the showdown was going to be. However, that was part of his manip. So when the breakout came and they broke out, so when you see on the previews, it shows the beast running across the lawn. He was actually running across the lawn to tackle some police, and then him and David, they got to fight. So you come to find out that the woman is part of a secret society organization that is aware that there's superhumans out there, and they want to keep it away from the world. So all the cameras that she put up, she erased all the footage that showed the Beast and David fighting. And so Mr. Glass, he's very smart. So when at the end of the movie, she's talking to the organization, telling them pretty much, hey, none of the footage got out. I want to move on to the next city and deal with the next superhumans or whatever. She thought to herself, when she went to a comic, she looking at comic books and stuff like that, and she thought to herself, she overheard some kids talking like, yeah, the mastermind always got a plan on another plan. That's what makes him so genius. So she thought, what if he had another plan? So she went back to the mental psychiatric facility and said, was there backup cameras or anything like that? And when the guy looked at the server, early in the scene, it showed Mr. Glass on the computer, but then it shot to the action scene, so you forgot for a moment that he was on the computer doing something. What he took and did, he took and put the footage of all the cameras to catch everything that was going on, and was streaming live to a backup server. And that backup server went to David's son and the mom of Mr. Glass and the girl that got free in the movie Split. And at the end of the movie, they launched the footage out to the world, so the whole world got to see. So I believe this movie will be a success, and people will like it. And my 4-star rating system, I'm gonna give this movie 3 out of 4 stars. And it's a real good movie. I think that's a good rating. It was some moments that kind of dragged a little bit, so that's why I bring it down a notch. But I wouldn't be mad if somebody said 3.5. But I'm going to say 3 out of 4 stars. It dragged a little bit. There was no post-credit scene, no indication that it's going to be a part 4. I think they just want to end it right here, especially because it took so long for part 2 to come out. So it was a success. Good movie. If you watched all 3, tell me which one you like the best. If you actually watched this one and you catching this review, leave a comment. I get back with you on the comments. I'm trying to grow the channel. Till the next time.